Yeah, and a big welcome to you tonight here on 98.9 Northwest FM. It's Paul, Mark and the Tech Guy show, and we're very excited about being here on this Wednesday evening. I tell you what, it's absolutely sensational. What a beautiful day it's been. The weather is sensational here in Melbourne town, and without any technical, we've got no technical difficulties this evening. Everything is just perfect. Can't wait to get the show up and running. Good to see the guys in the background there. If you want to check us out on Facebook. But before we do that, it's Paul, Mark, and the Tech Guy show. Discussion between three blokes in a podcast form, radio show, talking everything community, sports, current and controversial news, and of course tech. And let me just start by saying also, if you want to see us live on our Facebook page at Paul, Mark and the Tech Guy, check us out, please, and follow us, like us, and follow us, and that'll enable us to reach 100 followers, and then we'll be able to do this stream via Paul, Mark and the Tech Guy, because we're currently doing it via Northwest FM 98.9 and also through community. Great having company. Great to see the team. We've got Mr. Julio, the Tech Guy, in the room. How are you, Julio?
I'm really good. Yeah, glad to be back on the show, and straight after all these activities that Mark's been up to. So we're going to keep going with his activity week and see how he goes from now on.
Exactly, mate. We missed you a couple of weeks back, and good to see you, Mr. Marcus. You're back in the chair, and you're in the studio, Bob. Is that?
I'm in the studio here. Keep an eye on you, mate. 98.9 Northwest FM. We're here. We've been released from jail, and we've got Belinda here. She's going to be a great guard. I tell you what, she's scary. Stephen Cain. It's great to have Stephen Cain all the way from Adelaide.
Hey. Evening, gentlemen. So great to be here. I'm doing absolutely awesome, and even better now seeing your three faces. And yeah, what a beautiful day! What a beautiful day.
Yeah, well done, mate. Well done. It looks like you've got the best seat in the house. It's sort of like it's the gold wing seat, is it?
I'm in the bedroom. Yeah. So there you go. My beautiful gold curtains. Yep.
Well, there you go.
It should be the four old blokes show, isn't it? I mean, Julio's the young bloke here, but it's four old blokes having a bit of a chat. But it is good to be here. And Stephen, how are you, mate? After you got out of jail, we're going to talk a bit about the bailout tonight. But mate, how did you feel going to the old Adelaide jail last week?
What an absolutely amazing event, eh? It was just brilliant. As I said, we'll have a bit of a chat about that later, and the great work the big brothers and big sisters did getting it all organised. And yeah, it was just amazing. You know, the old Adelaide jail, you got to love it. It's got a story all of its own.
I'm sure it does.
Well, my question to you, Steve, is how come we didn't lock up these two blokes? Because anyone deserves being locked up. These two blokes definitely do, you know?
Yeah, well, I think we better work on that, because I think they might have escaped from somewhere. I'm not quite sure where, but we might have to just keep an eye on them tonight, I think. Yeah.
Well, I suppose we can announce we're going to have a bailout in Melbourne next year, and I want to get a commitment, especially from the Tech Guy, Julio. I think you deserve to be locked up next year, mate. Are you going to join us in the cells?
Yeah, it looked really good. So pretty interesting day. If I could, yeah, that'd be fantastic for next year. So there we go.
Yeah, wow. Well, look, I've got to say, guys, I mean, before we get into the nitty-gritty, I mean, look, Marcus, you've been busy. Stephen, you've been busy, obviously bailout just recently, and also the Lara Pinta track, and there's so much activity. How are you? Did Stephen and Mark, did you manage to have time together other than being locked up together? Was there any time where you could just reflect and catch up with old mates?
Yeah, for about 5 seconds, I think, Mark, wasn't it? No, sadly not this time, but, because Mark is just so passionate about what he does and he plays the role so well, it's hard to control it. But no, we did get a chance to actually stop and talk and actually give each other a hug and say hello to each other, and that's the most important thing. It's always not about the amount of time, it's about the quality of the time, isn't it? So,
well, that's it, mate. Exactly right, Stephen. For our I guess our listeners on 98.9 and for our streaming wonderful viewers, Stephen Cain, keynote speaker, coach, presenter, and a great bloke. and really a man of wisdom. Obviously been around the bush a little bit, and we're looking forward to sort of breaking that down a little bit this evening, Steve. But tell me, you've got it, like it was bailout. So I think, did you go through, Marcus, what, the concept of bailout and what it's all about?
Yeah, well, basically what we're doing is locking people up, and they've got to raise their bail, and it's a charity to raise money. And really what we wanted to do is unlock young people's loneliness through the bailout by giving them a mentor, someone to connect with. And Steve, I mean, a mentor, how important that would have been for you to get a mentor when you were young?
Oh, absolutely invaluable, Mark. Look, just a quick part about my story talking about that. I was incarcerated at 12 years of age in Victoria as a ward of the state. And look, I know that if I had walked out of there, say, after that first 8 months that they incarcerated me, if I had had a mentor, if I had had someone that just stopped and spent some time with me and took a bit of interest in who I was, then I probably wouldn't have ended up spending the next 17 years of my life in prison. And that's the reality of it. And I've given it a lot of thought. Is I didn't have a big brother or a big sister. I didn't have a mentor. And that's why I'm so behind what you do, Mark, and what everyone does that supports young people today.
Yeah, and I suppose I've been listening to the news and all these young kids doing crime, Steve, and I'm just wondering, okay, what can we do about that? And I'm just thinking, the power of mentoring, trying to mentor, maybe not when they're 18, 19, 20, 21 committing crime, but when they're 10, 12, 13 years of age, maybe that's the time to intervene and sort of connect with them,
Yeah, and there's a word you used there was maybe, and look, there's no maybe about it, bros. In all honesty, and let's be real about this, our kids are struggling at 9, 10, 11, 12, and they're trying to find their way. I had a meeting today with a young person at 14, just struggling to find their way, and it's okay, but it's just how do we deal with that? What do we do for these young people? And I think mentors are one of the greatest things that we can offer young people. Give them a different point of view, someone that supports them, that's someone that cares about them, and just shows them a different way. And that's what I mean. I fully support mentors and what you guys are doing, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And that's why it's so good to be a part of it, Mark,
That's really awesome, mate. That's great. And I think for tonight also is understanding a little bit more about how people can get involved and be part of it. And I know we talk about it a little bit through the shows and stuff like that, but as you're saying, Stephen, I mean, you framed it up really well. It's the end of the day, we all need a mentor. We need someone to take us through some of the hard times. And on that point, Stephen, it's sort of the segue into the top 7 at 7, which we're going to touch on sort of like 7:27, 7:30. I've asked you, mate, for our audience, Stephen, is the things to do when you think your life is starting to spiral out of control. So I want you to help give me the top 7 tips.
Wow.
All right. So things that you need. You know what I mean? So it's probably a bit of a challenge for you, mate. But I know if
that's huge. It's a beautiful question, man. No,
that's coming up. That's coming up.
I think that's a beautiful question, man, and a very difficult question for a lot of people. And good on you for bringing it up. Yeah.
Well, that's it, mate. So hold on to those thoughts.
And Paul, are you inferring that Julio's life spiraling out of control? Is that what you're inferring there?
Well, not indirectly. Julio, do we want to have a chat?
I think we should at the moment. So here we go. Maybe we need a new segment, probably. Just fix Julio every Wednesday. Maybe that's the way we should go for it.
That is fixing every Wednesday. I love it.
Right.
Well, and there's lots more, mate. Because if you think about it, Steve, we've also got a segment called Mark's Rant, and we're going to listen to Mark's rant a little bit later as well. And I want you to help Mark with his rant. Because you're our guest this evening, and we're talking tech with Julio just before we close the show this evening, and I'm sure there's some great stuff there. But I think Belinda's really given me a little bit of a topic for my rant here, which we might talk about later. But I think this is unbelievable, Steve. It costs $1,500 a day to keep a young person in youth detention. It only costs us $3,600 a year
to mentor a young person. I mean, where's your money, Steve, well spent in a $1,500 a day room at the in the jail, or for mentoring kids for a year?
Well, that's right, and it's not just the $1,500. It's what happens after they come out and stuff like that. And that's what I mean. You know, you guys, for the $300 odd that you can provide, or for just even providing, you know, it should be $500, mate. You know, the service is invaluable, Mark. Mentors, you know, having a mentor, as I said, look, honestly, I've given a lot of thought, man. They locked me up at 12. They gave me a lot of reasons to not be a nice person. And, you know, if I had had someone like you're offering, an organisation like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, that come up to me when I was struggling, then I don't think things would have been the same as they were. And I've been asked that question before. So, yeah, you know, that's what I mean, man. You know, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, mentors, absolutely invaluable. Yeah.
Yeah. And Stephen, can I just ask you, why did you start your organisation called Empathy, Not Sympathy? Give us a bit of background on that, mate.
For the same reason all of us are sitting here tonight, and for the same reason I met you, mate. It's called passion, mate. It's called wanting to make a difference. It's called wanting to change people's lives and let them know that it's okay to be who you are. We all make mistakes, you know. Sometimes it's okay just to sit back and be who you are, and finding the way to be able to deal with things in life. Things like anxiety, depression, PTSD, and anger. You know, they're the sort of things that, you know, we really need to address as far as men are concerned, but also as far as everyone's concerned. So I started this because I wanted everyone to know that it's okay to be who you are. And that's basically what it is.
Yeah, well, maybe that's a good word for Julio, because, Julio, you need to accept who you are, mate, and Milton reckons you're out of control.
Well, maybe he does. Maybe it's true in some ways. But part of back onto the topic, you know, used to actually look like formidable guards here at the moment, you know, on the show. So see how we go from there.
Let's bring it up, mate. Can you show it?
I'm trying to, but
it didn't come up. It came up.
Yeah, it was back
on.
on. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Fix
it
that.
wouldn't be the
Technical
tech show
stuff.
without a tech
Technical
problem.
stuff.
That's right. Yes.
That's right. Well, yeah, and while you're bringing that up there, earlier, I think you're beautiful. I don't care what these other fellas say, mate. I love you. All right, I think you're cool, right? But you know, look, with the guard thing and that, I met Mark a long time ago. It'll be a decade ago, probably thereabouts, when he was the founder of an organisation called White Lion, and they came up with this thing called Bailout, mate. And I think we've done over 12 of them now together, Mark, between you and my wife and us and a couple of other people, and it's just been amazing. So yeah, he's pretty scary, isn't he, Elio?
He is. Yeah.
Pretty scary, isn't it? Well, look, I did, Stephen, really interesting. I'm sure there's many tales or stories to tell. There should be one that I think's a standout for you in the 12 shows, in the 12 bailouts you've done with Mark. Can you just give us a you know, like a couple minutes? Is there something that comes to your mind that was a sort of like a come home sort of you know, situation?
Yeah. Look, without a doubt, I spent 17 years of my life in Pentridge Prison in Melbourne, and we used to do a bailout at the old Melbourne jail, which is in Russell Street, if I remember correctly, in Melbourne, or thereabouts. And it was really, really hard, personally, to walk back in there. It used to be a transient part of the system back in the 70s and 80s, where you would go there and be incarcerated before you got sent to Pentridge. And it was not a very pretty place. You're talking 20 men all locked in a little cage, you know, 12 hours a day, and you can imagine what it was like. So just walking back in there was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I remember crying. I remember wanting to leave, But then, you know, I stopped and I realised what White Lion or what bailout actually was all about, bailout itself. And it was to raise awareness for young people. And you can't walk away from that. And I want young people to know it's okay. Reach out and ask for help. It's okay. And that's why I walked back in there. I did my presentation. It was the hardest thing I did during bailout, and any of them. I came home. It was not pretty for my wife. I had nightmares for probably about 2 weeks. But the reality is, guys, it is what it is. And I was so blessed to be a part of it. And I think that was probably the second or third one I did. And it was absolutely amazing. And I'm so blessed to be able to do it, and I want to keep doing it, you know, and that's what I mean. So bailout is very important. It raises awareness and it raises funds and it brings young people to the forefront where they should be. And that's very important, eh?
Absolutely, mate. And well, here you go. Here's
there we go.
There you go. There's the boys, Stephen and
Look
Mark.
at them, boys. Yeah, look at
Look at
them.
those handsome champions there. Jeez.
Love
Watch
that
out.
good on you.
Hey, how is it working about sort of getting exposure in the community, and I guess some of our sort of like, you know, leaders, our government leaders getting them involved, or, you know, is the word spreading? I know it's first time in South Australia, but obviously with the last 10 years, have you seen a slight change in this sort of environment?
Okay, you spoke earlier about Mark's rant and stuff, and then look, I've always said to people, I don't wrap people up in cotton wool and pat them on their look at the moment. And to be honest with you, I think our politicians need to kick up the bum. I think they need to get out to little organisations, not only just to myself, but I mean to big brothers, big sisters, and they need to get out to the community. They're not listening to us, and that's the sad part, Paul. Is, you know, I couldn't tell you how many letters I've written over 13 years to politicians, to the justice ministers, to the people that run our prisons, and never receive a reply. And if I'm getting that, then Mark's getting that. Big brothers and big sisters are getting that, and so is everybody else. So yeah, really, to be honest with you, I'm very disappointed. There's one particular politician in Adelaide that needs to get herself sorted. She keeps promises and things, but we'll go there another day. But you know, yeah, sorry, but it's not. They need to get back out in the community and start listening to people like Mark and tuning into radio stations like this.
They're not connected, is it? They're just not connected with the local community. They don't know what's going on. Yeah. Mark, what do you think?
And I think they're looking at the end of the road rather than the start of the road. Like, kids are pinching cars. What's the solution? Let's lock them up. Which, okay, I understand that to some degree, but why don't they say, well, why are kids pinching cars? Why are kids doing this stuff? What's going on in the families? Just go back a bit. Okay, these preventative programs that are run out there, they don't get any support. So really what happens is that at the hospital end, we're building bigger hospitals, bigger prisons. It costs a fortune, where if they actually put money in the front end, maybe they would save some money. You're taking a longer term view. But, I've seen, what's happening on TV the last few days, and it's all about punishment. It's all about control. I haven't heard anything about trying to engage these families and find out what's going on. How can we help these families that are struggling, these kids that are going off the rails, and need to find that out and try and put some money towards that as well, not just building bigger jails. Because that's, as Belinda said, it's $1,500 a day. Imagine how many young people could be mentored for $1,500 a day. I mean, that'd be massive, Steve,
Yeah. It'd be absolutely huge. And that's what I mean. Like, the money's there. The government's spending the money. I'm not saying they're not spending the money. I'm saying that they're just spending it in the wrong areas, and they need to listen to the grassroots people. It's okay. No, sorry, hang on, wrong statement. It's not okay to lock someone up, but if you're going to get to that stage where you're going to lock up a young person, you can't just put them in a cell and get them to get up every day and just follow the routine and do all that. we need to bring in certain things that are gonna, real life experiences from real life people like myself. It's what I do. I talk to people about not walking a mile in my shoes. I go out into community or go out into the country and I talk to young people about, listen, please, I get it. I was 12. I get it. But there's a different way to do it. But I can't get any assistance from anybody. No one wants to listen to me. So, that's what I mean about let's get them to spend the money in the right areas, yeah?
Yeah, and I don't know how you do that, Steve. It is education, I suppose. But I suppose we've got to try and advocate a bit more, don't we? We've got to get out there and say something. Paul, what are you going to say, mate? You've got to say something. You're a media man. You're out there. What are you going to say?
Well, I mean, what do you say? I guess it's exactly what you're doing. It's the bailouts, and it's telling stories and getting people involved, and then slowly getting media involved, and like in different arenas, and just maybe even getting some people exposed to that environment so that they get that real sense of feeling, right, Steve?
Yeah, and it's going to take time.
Julio, what I want to ask you, Julio, what I want to ask you is, how do you respond to someone like Milton that, what's he saying here? Give him one chance. I mean, one chance. I mean, we've all had more than one chance. What's your response to this, Julio?
Well, I think the chance thing is the wrong approach to anything. Like the people that go into jails isn't due to chances or anything like that. It's an environmental thing. So that needs mentors, that needs procedures. Also, looking at your pictures, like from the actual show here with all your criminals there, I'm not sure it's a good site here because it looks like they're getting really nice Shiraz there as well on the table. So, for me, it might be a good thing in a jail. So,
was it Mark on the table there? With Steve?
But yeah, no, it is. It's a great experience, and bailout is absolutely awesome to give those people that experience of what it would like to be locked up. But then later on, we have a bit of fun, we have a bit of a laugh, we sort of debrief the night and stuff like that, and it's absolutely amazing, brilliant night earlier, and that's what I mean. It'd be great to lock you guys up, but yeah, look, just quickly too, Paul. Look, with everything with our politicians and everything, and just quickly, I don't want to go on about it, but it's just going to take time, and they are starting to listen, and it's people like us that are going to keep having a voice. And that's what we'll keep doing. So thank you for that question, because I think that's a very important thing that we acknowledge from time to time. But yeah, bailout, Melbourne, next year, isn't it, Mark?
Next year. But Steve, I hope you're not going like Milton and going a bit soft in your old age, mate. Like Milton's getting a bit soft in his old age. You're not getting soft, are you?
No, I'm not getting soft, mate. You can't do that. No way, bro. No, got to stand up and have a voice. But yeah, and keep that on. And I hope you're not getting soft after your big hike up that hill. You've probably eaten a few too many steaks since you got back, have you?
Oh, mate, I tell you what. We'll have to get on that a bit later. How are we going to lose weight? But I tell you what, it's not easy, especially when you go to dinner with Paul and he feeds you pizza and chips. Mate, not good at all.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a lot of choice, mate. It was your picking. I didn't pick that place.
That's beautiful. Looks good.
Well, just tell us how you felt when you were locked up at the bailout, because you've done a bailout yourself. How did you find the bailout experience? Did it make any impact on your life?
Look, absolutely. I mean, it was very, very challenged me. I mean, to think, and I think just a point Stephen just made about when you first walked back in, and he cried, and there was that real, I guess, sorrow or maybe a sense of relief, but at the same token, brought back those memories. Obviously, I don't have memories of it, but I think it was a bit of a mover for me in the reality of what happens, and I experienced it. And you don't want to go to jail. I mean, it's just, like if it's as simple as just mentoring, getting the right mentor. Well, what are we doing? We need to embrace and need to. Hey Mark, can you mentor me? Or hey Julio or Steve, can you be my mentor? Like I'm feeling I'm spiraling out of control. How do we make the right choices? Is that the right word, Steve? The right choices?
Yeah. Right choices. Yep, choices.
Yeah.
Choices and accepting everybody does. Like, everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone's entitled to that. And, you know, you know, as you say, mentors are just, they're the way to go today. They're just, you know, they're out on the streets. They're out there talking to these kids in their homes. They're talking to them in the streets. They're taking them out for coffee. They're engaging with them. There's so many positives and so many pluses that comes out of mentoring someone. And Mark said, if we can start early, and we can start at 10, 11, 12, start mentoring these kids when they first start becoming on the radar, then I think we're going to make a big difference.
Yeah, right. Okay. Mark, do we have a date for next year? Have you already sorted that out, or is that coming?
We're looking at
how do
maybe
people connect?
May next year. We're going to have a bailout in Melbourne, and then August next year back in Adelaide. So we've got to keep Steve busy with the bailouts and lock people up, and really help people get that feeling about what it's like when you lose all control of your own ability to do whatever. You know, you're under, because that's what it is, Steve. At the end of the day, you're losing your freedom in a bailout and in jail, aren't you? No freedom. Other people make decisions for you.
Yeah, and you know, like, just imagine at the moment, you know, you're a 12-year-old. You know, you get up one day, you think life's all good, and by the time the sun sets, you're locked up in a boys' home. You're locked up in a dormitory. You're stuck in there with 15 to 20 other kids, and you're scared, and you just want to go home, and you don't understand why. Look, maybe I stole something, maybe I didn't quite conform or whatever, but how hard that would be for a young person, you know, today, you know, when it happened to me. And that's what I mean about, you're right, Mark, it's about giving these young kids that mentor and that someone that can help them, guide them through the tough times.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, it's the Bailout Show with Stephen Cain, Paul Mark, and the Tech Guy here at 98.9 Northwest FM, and we're also streaming via Facebook pages, YouTube, 98.9. Get behind us, follow Paul Mark and the Tech Guy Facebook page, please, and then we'll be able to hit 100 followers, then we can go live on that one. Hey, coming up around the corner, don't go anywhere because we've got lots more your way. Top 7 at 7, we've asked the man himself, Stephen Cain, I should say. Top 7 things to do when you think your life is starting to spiral out of control. So we're really keen to listen to his top 7. And we've also got Mark's rant. Now, I know he's got a big one tonight. I don't think you like the pizza. Is that where you're going with that, Marcus? Probably not. And talking tech with Julio, which is lots of good stuff sort of around the corner. And we're also doing a little bit of footy sesh, yeah? So once I go to a song shortly, we're doing a footy? Anything footy, Marcus?
Unfortunately, Stephen Cain's crying, so we'll just see if we can he's got to pick him up because he's a Carlton supporter. And
what happened?
So, you know, lots to talk about there. But, Stephen, I just got a question for you. A guy like Julio walks into jail and he gives a bit of attitude. What are we going to do with him if he comes to the bailout? How are we going to control Julio?
I think there's a couple of ways. We can't give away too many secrets in case he comes in, but I think he'd look pretty good facing a wall counting bricks. There's lots of bricks to count, Julio, so yeah, be careful.
No, it looks that way.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you though, I think it, you know, it obviously have a little bit of a laugh out of it, but when you get in there, it's very somber. Let me tell you,
it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's the wall. That's the wall we're going to make Julio stand on. That wall there.
I don't know. What about Milton? Do we lock Milton up? I mean, do you reckon Milton might give it a crack? Give it a go.
Look, hey, and to anyone that's listening, like, please stay in touch with these guys and get the dates for bailout. Get some friends, make a team, you know, come and register, do all that sort of stuff, and come and have some fun with us, you know. Come and really experience what it would be like. But then we sit back later and we have a laugh and a joke too. So, you know, to everyone out there, please keep an eye out and come and join us.
Well, if you think Julio's a bad prisoner, wait till you try and lock up this bloke, Milton Wild. I mean, he would be unbelievable. Look how much he loves the state of Victoria where he lives. And we could lock him up just for writing these sort of comments, Julio.
We could, yeah. He seems to understand the Victorian aspect of life pretty well there. Yeah. So there he goes.
We might throw away the key for a bloke like this.
Yeah.
Didn't I say what was the comment?
Thanks for your thanks for your comment, Milton. I can't remember exactly what it said, but yeah, I used to live there. I actually came here 30 odd years ago, so I know what you're talking about, Milton. And yeah, I'm a very lucky man. I live in SA.
Okay, well, there are people that want to support the bailout and support Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Here's the link. Belinda's put the link on the chat. And so if you do want to support us with the bailout, the Big Brothers, Big Sisters bailout, shout for good, fundraisers, break the chain. So we want to break the chain of loneliness for young people. Come and support us. We've raised about, would you believe it, Steve, $34,000 we've raised. We're going to try and hit 35,000. I reckon that'd be a great figure to finish up on, $35,000 for the bailout. So if you want to support us, we'd love you to support Big Brothers, Big Sisters, trying to break those chains of loneliness, Steve.
Oh, yeah, and that's what mentors are about. And for those guys to raise that sort of money on that night I didn't realise it was that, and hopefully we can get a few more dollars in the bank. But how good is that, Mark? How good is that, guys? You know, for those guys to come up with that sort of money and to come and experience that and put up with you and me, that's always a big deal. Absolutely brilliant night, eh?
That's right, mate. That's right, eh?
Be hard leaders there, I think, you and Mark, Steve. I think you guys will be hard.
Yeah, he's got a bit of passion there. He gets dressed up in his vest and says police, and off he goes. You know, and it's beautiful to see. You know, he scares me sometimes now.
Oh, Mark.
You know.
Maybe in your next life you could be a copper, policeman, eh?
That's it.
Or a guard.
I'll tell you what, you never realise who's the best coppers, do you? Like, we've got Emma at Big Brothers Big Sisters. She's a great copper, and I'm sure Belinda is going to be a great copper in the making. I think she's going to perform really well at the Melbourne bailout in May next year, and she's got some heavy prisoners because Julio's committed himself. Paul, you're committed, aren't you?
Well, if it's before the 25th of May, yeah, for sure. Why not?
Yeah, that's right. We'll make sure we make it before the 25th of May. And obviously, Milton could already be locked up by the time we have our bailout. But if he's out as a free man, we'll still lock him up as well.
Lock him up as well. That's it. That's awesome. Oh, well, you never know, eh? You never know what goes on. But that's awesome stuff, mate. And that was on Friday last week. Jump onto the website, check it out, bailout, and get behind it. And I'm sure there's lots of testimonials, and lots of ways that you can connect and participate and be part of it. So what does it mean for you, Stephen? So bailout, you just completed the South Australian, the first one. I think it was the first.
The first for Big Brothers, Big Sisters.
For Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So what's going on in your world now? Like, what are you up to, next couple of weeks?
I've just spent the last 2 weeks in Victoria. I did a 5-day program, or facilitated a 5-day program at an amazing Aboriginal men's camp down at Yarram in Victoria. So it used to be a prison, actually, back in the old days, and I served time there back in the 80s. And although it was a semi-open place, it still wasn't the best prison in the world. And I get to go back there now. I've been going back there for 13 years, 3 times a year. And I go and facilitate my men taking control life skills and cultural awareness program. So I spent a week down there, and during that week, I had the opportunity to watch the fellas all dance and get dressed up in their laps and painted up and stuff and dance in the circle. So that was absolutely amazing. Awesome. And then I headed off to Melbourne and did 3 days in the CBD for a job network. I've got a program that I facilitate about employment and getting people ready for employment.
Good.
So So yeah, life is
You've been
going
busy.
great.
Good on you, mate.
I have been. Yeah, been enjoying it. So yeah.
Well, well done, mate. Well, we're looking forward to the your top 7 things to do when your life is starting to spiral out of control. So stick around. We're going to go to a break. Going to go through a song because we're community radio, so we're committed to playing great music. And I think you guys are going to do a little bit of talking footy on the background there in the stream. But we'll be back with Stephen Cain, Mark, and the tech guy himself, and Mark's Rant plus lots more here on 98.9 Northwest FM. Paul, Mark, and tech guy. See you shortly.
Beautiful.
Okay, Julio. Well, we're on all things footy, mate. Stephen Cain, he hasn't been himself since he watched those Hawks kill the Blues, mate.
I haven't
Stephen,
been
how
myself,
feeling, mate?
since...
You were second, and I tell you what, people don't realise this, but I'm going to tell them you actually bought some grand final tickets when you were second because you were sure that your team was going to play the grand final. I mean, how are you feeling now spending all that money?
Come on, look, we all know that nothing's impossible. We're 8th. We might have 17 people or players out for injury, but we're 9th now, are we? Okay, well, we're coming back now. So it's been a sad journey. It's been a sad journey over the last 3 weeks. Because, as we keep saying as Carlton supporters, I don't know what happened. We were there, and then we were down, and then we're not coming back this year. But that's okay. It's one of those things, isn't it?
That's it.
Well, Julio, just keep this ladder up here because it's a crazy season because it was only a few weeks ago that Carlton was second, Essendon was third, and Collingwood was fourth. Now, Carlton's 9th, we're 10th, and Collingwood's 11th. So, mate, how the mighty has fallen, I mean, this is unbelievable. And then all these interstate teams have come from nowhere, and they're hogging the ladder. They're actually hogging it, Steve.
It certainly looks that way.
Well, you can probably pick it up from the scores on the weekend. It was all over the place.
Well, just going back to that ladder, Julio. Can you just go back to the ladder for a minute?
Yep.
Who do you actually barrack for, Julio?
I'm right at the bottom there, number 18. So there I am. I'm still holding on, but it's right down the bottom. So
how do you feel down there?
It's pretty lonely down here at the moment, especially when you look at the average and point scores. It's just ridiculous. So
64%.
Exactly. It's probably one of their worst seasons for quite some time. So there you go.
Well, Tina Schrader reckons Carlton's lost it, and that could be true, Steve. Carlton has lost it.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm just having some technical issues myself.
That's all right.
With a bit of volume.
Your football team's having more than technical issues, mate, down there at number 9, but I can't say much more because mine's at number 10. So,
yes. So you went for a bit of a walk as well, Mark, with your team, with Essendon. Essendon's gone for a bit of a walk from where they were, the Great Hots.
Yeah, well, Tina said, shame they thought we're up there. I think it's just the same. I think all Essendon, Collingwood, and Carlton supporters thought they might see some action in September, and we're all going to have a quiet September. Poor old Steve, he's bought his grand final tickets, he's booked his flights, and he's got nowhere to go. Nowhere to go.
That's all right. We'll get there. Nah.
Yes.
Hey, look, I don't know how your team's going, Mark.
No, we're no good. And as Julio said, when you look at the results on the weekend, I mean, it's just crazy results.
It is. It's ridiculous. So it was all over the place. So the scores were pretty top heavy. All the interstate teams did extremely well compared to all the locals. The Melbourne game with Port Adelaide, that was a bit of a shocker at the end. So that turned out to be a bit different. And then next week, there we go for the next week's score. So what's your prediction?
Well, who are you going for out of West Coast and Carlton, Steve? Do you think you're going to beat the West Coast Eagles? I see by having technical issues. What do you think, Julio?
I reckon I think still West Coast might take this one, even though the fixtures are towards Carlton. I'm not sure the West Coast are coming down now. They're pretty much on a winning streak.
What about Collingwood Brisbane?
That's a good game. I'll say Collingwood against Brisbane.
Okay. What's another big game there? I think Port Adelaide versus Adelaide will be very close. In fact, Adelaide's playing pretty well. And also Greater Western Sydney versus Fremantle. You'd have to go for Greater Western Sydney, wouldn't you?
You would, yeah. Yeah, I'll pick that as well. Looks pretty good with the game. But we are looking at a pretty much interstate fixture, looks like, Mark, by the way things are going.
I think you're right there, mate. I think you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm still here. I just don't have the video sorted, but I can still hear you and stuff. So yeah, sort of let you know that.
Okay, no worries. I can just see you there. I can see your shoulder there, Steve.
Yeah, that's about all, Mark. I've got to keep the phone next to my my ear. I've got hearing aid problems, mate. It's called getting old, bro.
There you go.
Yeah, Julio's young. He doesn't know anything about getting old, so
he doesn't get it.
I don't get it. No. Maybe later on.
That's a good shot, Steve. Maybe when you're not talking, or you're not listening, maybe we could see your lovely face because you are a good-looking bloke, Steve.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that.
Oh, there you go. He's back.
Over to you, Paul.
Good on you, mate. Well, I hope you enjoyed that from the Who, that My Generation. I think it's one of your favourites there, wouldn't it be, Steve? Played a couple of tracks, or one of the tracks there, and some of the community stuff. So we are community radio, 98.9, Northwest FM. Well, it comes to that time, Julio, where we need to wrap up top 7 at 7.
Yes, we do.
I love it because I was just watching Mark through the window, through the studio, and he's doing a little bit of a dance, on the other side. Hey, top 7 at 7. It's 90, as I said, 98.9. Where would you do the call sign thing? We've got the wonderful Stephen Cain with us this evening. Just completed the bailout session here last week in South Australia. But what would be appropriate for our top 7 at 7? So it's 7 points, whether they're good or obviously high points or low points. So what's your top 7 things to do when you think your life is starting to spiral out of control? So if you're out there listening to us tonight and your life's starting to spiral out of control, we've asked Stephen to give us what's your number 1 thing to do, mate, when you think your life is starting to spiral out of control. Number 1.
Reach out for help. The first thing that you can do is reach out for help. It doesn't matter who you ring, who you talk to. Just get on the phone to somebody and talk your way through it would be number 1 without a doubt.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that one, Steve, because a lot of people don't reach out, do they? A lot of people keep it to themselves. They sort of try and tough it out, if you like, and they're not reaching out to their friends and that. So, and I think that's a really good thing, to take the risk, take the chance, and ring someone, connect with someone, tell someone that you're struggling, eh?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
well done. Okay,
number 2.
So, yep. Yeah, go ahead, mate. Go ahead.
Guys, I haven't written any of this down, so I'm flying by the seat of my pants, and these are the things that I would do as a man, as a person. So, and as I said, the first thing is to reach out to help. I think the most important, and the next second thing, is to acknowledge what you're feeling, is to acknowledge where it starts and how it starts. And I think that's one of the biggest things too, is trying to understand what it's about. Yeah.
What do you think about that one, Paul? Yeah, what do you think about that one, Paul? Do you feel you do that easily, or is that a struggle for you to acknowledge things, or what do you think?
Well, I think it's important to if you're spiraling out of control, is to understand, well, why are you? I mean, what is it? Like I said, how are you feeling? What's the hidden cause behind it? Why is it happening that in that capacity, right, Steve? Is that where you're meaning?
Yeah. It's to understand. Look, I'm a firm believer that we get a feeling of depression, anxiety, whatever's going to happen.
it comes to us. It might start in the stomach, it might start in the head, it might start in the left shoulder. Who knows? But it's just being aware of where it starts, and that's one of the biggest first steps on the journey to recovery with this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So yeah, just
All right, so
acknowledging it and being aware of
acknowledging it.
where it started and how it started.
Okay, so if you're listening to this evening and your life is starting to spiral out of control, we've got the top 7. So we started off with number 1 from Stephen Cain, reach out for help. Number 2, acknowledge what you're feeling. Number 3, Steve.
Number 3 would be starting to think about how could I change this? What could I bring into place? I think is one of the most important things. Like, you know, who can I reach out to? Like, you've reached out, you've acknowledged what it is, but it's also about reaching out to people that know how to deal with what you're going through. So I think that's one of the biggest things as well, is when you're seeking help, is seeking the help that you need for that particular time. Yeah. I think is very important as well. So yeah,
Julio, what do you think? Julio, what do you think about that one?
Reaching out for help.
Yeah,
I think you have to do it. I think even though I think it's harder for males to not do it. I think we're pretty much a stubborn type of person that we really refuse that sort of help. But I think it's essential for us to grab some sort of help, reach it out. Don't wait for the last minute. Make sure you got someone there. Get a good team along, mentors like we've been talked about. But just great teamship. I think camaraderie like we've got here, it's great to have.
Awesome. Exactly right. All right. Steve, number 4, what's your number 4th thing to do when you think your life is starting to spiral out of control?
Yeah, as I said before, it's a really big question, and there's a lot of different answers to how people deal with what they go through and what they're going through at the time, if they feel like it. And I think one of the biggest things that we need to remember is we're spiraling out of control, or we think that we are, is that, you know, we're not alone. That, you know, other people are struggling as well, and we're not alone, and it's okay to reach out for that help. I guess it's probably, you know, I said reach out for help, but one of the biggest things that we don't know about is that it's okay to do that. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we need to get used to. And in that, I mean, like, for this answer is, it's about going into change with an open mind. When you feel like you're spiraling out of control, it's really hard to want to bring new things into your life, to want to have those challenges of change. But it's trying to go in. I guess number 4 would be going in with an open mind. Yeah.
Open mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Steve. You can feel a bit embarrassed or a bit like, oh, what's wrong with me? I've got problems. But you're right. It's a lot of people have got problems. We've all got problems. So, you know, it's not like you're abnormal just because you're struggling. You know, it's part of life to struggle. So, you know, don't be ashamed of, don't be embarrassed. You know, it's just part of life's journey.
Yeah, and that's a great way of putting it too, Mark, is that it's not a shame job to reach out and ask for help. It's not a shame job to feel depressed or upset or to have PTSD. You know, in my experiences, and it's only mine I can talk about, I'm 66, but I haven't met a person on this earth that doesn't have some sort of anxiety, depression, or PTSD. And that's why I talk about, you know, you're not alone when you go through this. And it's okay to reach out. It's not, you know, it's not embarrassing to do that. Yeah.
All right. So another point. So number 5, mate, what would you suggest or recommend for if someone's at that position where they're thinking contemplation, open mind, not alone, they're not embarrassed? What would their number 5 be?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, as I said before, like, it's not embarrassing and going with an open mind. But what can you do for you? What can you do for you while you're going through this, not what can others do for you. Like, for an example would be, if you're going through something and you've got a mindset where your mind is just going around and around, you can't change it, and you feel yourself spiraling, what is it at that moment that you can bring into place to change that thought process? So for me, I call it the happy place. I sit down. It's just one of the tools that I use, which I'll go on to the next one, but it's about sitting down, closing my eyes, and I think about something that brings a smile to my face that's happened in my life. Or I'll get up and I'll move, or I'll go for a walk, and I'll try and change the thought process. So I think the biggest thing is, what can you do for you to change what's going on inside your head at that time?
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, number 6, Steve, gives another point. Number 6, on what do you think? Yeah.
Yep. But I think number 6 is going to be just a wrap up of everything I've already said.
Okay, yeah. Wrap up.
Is basically reach out for help. It's okay to be where you are. Don't go into it with a closed mind. It's okay to learn new things. It's okay to reach out for help. It's okay to ask people. And I think that's probably the biggest about number 6. Would be awesome. That it's okay to be you.
Okay, yeah.
And I'll jump in, because number 7 is basically just do it. Nothing's impossible. It's okay to be where you are. It's okay to reach out for help. Just do it. Just reach out. And I guess that's the biggest thing I could say to people.
It's awesome.
Just reach out, and
that's awesome.
You'll find a way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, Steve. So your top 7 things to do when you think that your life is starting to spiral out of control. And I do want to encourage to, if you're feeling like you need to talk to someone, you can also reach out to Lifeline at 13 11 14, and or for Beyond Blue. Awesome service out there. Reach out to I'm sure drop us a line here on Facebook as well. But yeah, thanks, Steve. That's awesome. So that's your top 7 around 7. Marcus, what do you think, mate?
Well, I think that Steve's probably got one other thing to say, and that's romper. I think Steve's got romper to say. And Steve, what's romper stand for again? When you're actually struggling, you're really struggling in life, you can just say the word romper and think about romper, which is, what's that again, mate?
Yeah, romper has been part of my life for many years. It's a story about crocodiles from Dreamtime. But basically what romper means for me is relax, observe, manage, patience, and act. It's that important in my life. It's tattooed on my arm. There's my number plate is romper 1. Every time I look in my revision mirror, I see a sticker that says romper. Every time I walk in my front door, I see a sticker that says romper. Romper is one of the greatest tools as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a grandparent that I've ever learned in my life. And I embrace everybody to just sit back, don't react, relax, observe what's going on around you. Why is it happening? What's going on? Manage the situation by putting something into place where you don't fall into it. You take a breath, you have a bit of patience, and your action is to get up and just walk away or do whatever you need to do. But
just do it.
Don't pick up that.
See, Steve, that's a little gift for Julio tonight. We always like giving Julio a little gift on these shows. So, little gift of romper to you, Julio. What do you think about our gift we've given you tonight?
I reckon it's a great gift. You should always have some sort of gift, some sort of message that resounds, and romper sounds like a great way to move forward.
Awesome, Steve. Well done. It's awesome, mate. Yeah. Well, I guess that's. Are you feeling a bit in the romper, Mark? Because I know you've been ranting today.
I'm ready to romp, mate. I'm ready to romp. Mate, yes.
Julia, are you ready to get that rant video up and running? Thanks, Steve. That's amazing.
I am. I'm scared though. So here we go.
I'm ready to go. Ready to go. I tell you what, guys. On Saturday night, I was at the footy watching the Bombers, and they had 11 scoring shots or 10 scoring shots. I think 10 scoring shots they had. To Gold Coast, 2 scoring shots. And you know what? They kicked 1 goal 9, and the Gold Coast kicked 2 goals, and we lost by a point. Unbelievable. And I suppose what it does is that sometimes in life you give yourself many opportunities to get things right. So they had 10 opportunities to kick goals, and they only kicked 1. And so that sometimes can happen to us in life, where we know we got to do something, and we either forget, or we put it off, or we don't kick straight in our life. And so that for me was a lesson of life. Those stupid Bombers, they can't kick straight this year, and they keep losing games. So we're just going to watch in our own personal lives that we don't lose the game because of these things that we should get right. Now, why don't they kick straight? I do not know. Why do we forget things? I do not know. But it's about being more mindful. I think the boys weren't very mindful and really thinking, being in the presence of the place and thinking, and then we won't speed. We won't forget people. We won't forget this, all that. And so that's my little rant to today, is that Essendon has taught us a lesson about not wasting opportunities, Paul. And I'm just wondering, that's a lesson for you, definitely a lesson for Julio. And Steve's probably, you've made the most of your opportunities, mate. But the rest of us can think about making the most of opportunities in life.
That's it. Exactly right. Thanks, Mark. Well done.
That's it.
Mark's rant. That's Mark's rant for tonight.
Yes.
It's always hard to kick straight, but we'll get up and keep trying, won't we?
Yes.
Go the Blues.
I need your encouragement there. They need your encouragement there, Mark. Maybe you should just go out there with your normal self-encouragement out there and give them a bit of a spiel about the best way to go forward.
They do, mate. They do. They need to make the most of the opportunities, and we only get one life, Steve. So we've got to maximise it. We've got to make an impact. Got to make a difference with our one life, and really focus, hey?
Well, mate, I heard from an Essendon supporter this week, Steve. Essendon supporter said to me this week, "That's it. I'm done. I'm going to Tassie Tigers. I'm signing up for Tassie Tigers." So,
there you go.
Good luck. Good luck. Good night, eh? Is that in your famous words, Marcus? Well, that's awesome, mate. That's Mark's rant for this week. And there's lots happening. We've got a couple more minutes before the show. If you've just joined us, thank you so much. 98.9 Northwest FM. Paul, Mark, and the tech guy, and our wonderful guest this evening, Stephen Cain, joining us. It is the Bailout Show. So it's the segue for you, Julio, is Talking Tech with Julio. Here you go. Oh,
yes. Now, this show is basically based on what Mark's been up for the last couple of weeks, which is all these activities and more activities, and the more he gets into more activities. And I thought maybe it's a training type for Mark Day this time. So get him some wearables or something that he could put onto his wrist or something to capture what's going on. But for us, Paul, I thought about us as well. So for the journey that Mark's puts us through, we need some escape, somewhere we could take all our energy out on and keep us probably out of jail for keep looking after Mark. But the biggest thing I've always thought about Mark also is basically, as he's keeping on activity, maybe do something that he has lack of or doesn't have knowledge of, which is stairs. And I thought this would be great for him just to get himself a stair trainer to go up and down on a weekly basis as part of these. And these are all good tech devices for him to look at and share with the community about best ways to keep fit.
Oh, that's amazing, mate. Well,
I like the stair climber. That's a beauty. That's a beauty.
Yeah.
And the punching bag. I think that'd be good.
Yeah.
The punching. What was the punching iPad? Yeah. Was it a punching iPad?
It's a punching iPad. So basically, it registers you. It tells you where to punch, and you got to follow the instructions.
Oh, yeah. Check that out. What do you reckon, Steve? Could you do the punching iPad?
Sorry, what was that?
Could you do the punching iPad? Would that be something that you're into?
Oh, no. Hey, when I was a bit younger, I loved that stuff. But no, I can make it look good.
Make it look good. Oh yeah, God. So look, I would say, Mark, after all of this education, this support, these guidance and stuff, surely you're ready to do a 10K walk each day and every day, preparing for your next.
I'm going to walk a big walk in Tasmania next year, so I'm putting people on notice. They want to join me in Tasmania on a big walk called the 3 Capes next November. I'm going to get into training soon. Haven't got a start date on the training yet.
That's dangerous.
We may delay it because you don't want to get going too quickly. But I'm going to do a bit of training, and we're going to walk 3 Capes next November.
What's the total kilometerage?
I don't know. It's probably at about 40, 50 Ks. Could be 100 Ks. But, whatever it is, we're going to do it because
well done,
that's who we are. That's who we are.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, mate. That's walking tech with Hewlett. That's sensational. I mean, I'd say for our listeners on 98.9, you need to jump over to Facebook and check it out and watch the program in its entirety, of course. The Hour with Stephen Cain and the Bailout Show. But you'll always see these little antics. So we love breaking up the show a little bit. Steve, have you found the show this evening?
Oh, absolutely brilliant. Thanks so much for the opportunity to join you, to spread the word, to talk about the great work that Mark does. And just, if I could just quickly reflect on all of the team, there they are. Them people I was going to talk about. The guards that came along, that did what they did. Absolutely brilliant night, you guys. So proud of you all. It was so good to sit back and watch you do what you did. And thank you so much. The guards were just absolutely brilliant, every single one of them. Emma, just love your work, darling. And, to the prisoners and that sort of stuff, absolutely beautiful. But it would never be a moment if I didn't say thanks to Mark either. Good on you, Mark. Love your work, guys. Thank you, everybody.
What a bunch of prisoners we had there, eh? So it was good. And a chance to be a bit of a copper. Fantastic. We're going to do a few bailouts next year, so you can come and join us. Get yourself locked up, and Steve and I will deal with you. Plus these other great-looking guards we've got are going to join you as well. So it's fantastic, eh? Look at these girls. They're going to be your guards. So you probably all want to get locked up. They're going to be your guards.
Well done. Yeah, it's awesome.
Were they the sort of guards you had when you were in prison, Steve? Were they the sort of guards you had?
Sorry, mate?
Were they the sort of guards you had when you were in prison?
Oh, no, they weren't that good looking, mate. All I got was blokes and they were ugly.
Well, don't forget, you can join me on the 3 Capes next year in Tassie. Looks like Milton's going to go 3 Capes, November 25 in Tassie. We're going to walk that. We're going to get locked up. It's going to be a big 2025. But stay with us this year because there's still many great things going to happen in 2024.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
Thanks to everyone. Thanks again, Stephen Cain, for joining us this evening. I know you're busy schedule. Thank you, Marcus, and also the very infamous tech guy. Great things as always, mate. We're looking forward to seeing everyone next week. And you can check us out. Don't forget to follow us on Paul Mark and Tech Guy Facebook page. Great things here at Community Radio. Obviously, I was going to say Community Radio, 98.9 Northwest FM. And look forward to seeing you next week. And it's bye from me and bye from you. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time around. Good night, everyone.
Enjoy the nights.
And also, thanks for